Well, good evening, Town of Auburn. I am your moderator for this evening. My name is Brandon Hill. I'm a fellow resident. And tonight is one night of two that we're going to be doing for the debates. Tonight we have uncontested first, and then we're going to go into the Housing Authority debate. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Ginger Buteau, who is uncontested for town clerk. And Ginger, fire away.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As he said, my name is Ginger Buteau. I am the current interim town clerk. I wanted to give you a small, brief description of my past experiences. I started in a smaller town and worked as the assistant town clerk and as the interim town clerk for a few years. I came to Auburn looking for a full-time job in a town hall and started in 2022 working in the Building Conservation and ZBA department. Worked there until 2022 as the assistant town clerk, and then this past June 2023 I was appointed as the interim town clerk. I absolutely enjoy helping people. I love working in Auburn, and I just would greatly appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you.
All right. Also, who's uncontested on the ballot, we also have Megan McCrillis and Brooke Wren for the school committee. They're both uncontested as well. And for library trustees, we have Mary DeCourcy and Lindsay Baker. Lindsay Baker for 1 year. And that's pretty much it for the uncontested on tonight's agenda. Tonight, we're going to introduce the candidates who are running for the Housing Authority. Currently, right now, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come right back up. We'll have them up here, and we'll start the debate, and we'll go from there. All right. All right, we're back. So again, my name is Brandon Hill. I'm a town resident, I'm also a town meeting member in our wonderful town of Auburn. And currently tonight we have the Housing Authority. We have, to my right, we have Mr. Wayne Page, and we have Steve Consilvio, and we also, who is not here, Mary Ellen Fahey, who's also running for the Housing Authority. So basically, we're just going to ask a series of questions with everybody having the same opportunity to respond. We'll keep it down to a minimum of time to respect one another. Other than that, pretty good to go. So I'm going to ask first question, and this one's to you, Mr. Page, followed by you, Mr. Consilvio. Why are you running for town moderator? I'm sorry, Housing Authority. My apologies.
My name is Wayne Page. I am running for Housing Authority. And the reason why I'm running for Housing Authority is because I like helping people. I have done that all my life. I've worked at the senior center. I've been on many, many, many committees in town. I was on the Veterans Committee, and I helped get a free Purple Hat for the town of Auburn with some friends of mine that helped too. And I'm just so people-oriented that my younger days, I was a little rough, but nowadays I'm calmed down and feel like I can do a better job at the position and really help because I have 10 years' experience at it. I know the do's and the don'ts and the whys and how to help the people and deal with the people that aren't helpful. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Consilvio, same question to you, my friend.
Thank you. My name's Steve Consilvio. I'm the current chair of the Housing Board. I was appointed last July by a joint meeting of the Selectmen and the Housing Board. I'm relatively new to housing, although I know a lot about it from a family member that's involved in it. But the reason I would like to continue in my role is to continue to learn and continue to help people and help the executive director do her job as best she could. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so if elected, what will your main priorities be? We'll start with you, Steve.
My main priorities actually haven't changed, which is basically to help the executive director do her job, keep the facilities up to date, clean and safe and healthy, and make sure as best I can within the role that the residents are safe and happy as well.
All right, Mr. Page, same question.
I'm pretty much with the way Steve says, but I'd just like to add that you got to really work hard to have the board work together, get things done. You got paving, apartment fixing up to do. You have a maintenance crew that you have to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and helping people. That's where I'm always at, is helping people. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next question, Mr. Page. So like the town manager and board of selectmen, the executive director is overseen by and answers to the Housing Authority Board and commissioners. What will you do to ensure that there's confidence in the executive director and the operation of the Housing Authority?
I will make, me, right? Sorry.
Sorry.
I will make sure that the director is doing her job, and if we have problems, I would go to the board as a whole and bring it up to the board, and then move to the next process if we need to. But if she is doing her job, should back her 100%, help her in any way we can, and to deal with the people. And that's about it for me. Thank you.
And Steve, same question to you, sir.
Okay. So the question was, like the town manager and the BOS, and in fact, the Board of Selectmen has a lot more power over the town manager than the Housing Board has over the executive director. The executive director actually has two other bosses besides the board, because we have federal housing and state housing. And so the executive director has a lot more reporting to do to them to keep them satisfied. And for the most part, we are more of a witness and a local resource. But the state and the federal government are actually setting most of the policies that you would think, like the Board of Selectmen could do. We don't actually have a lot of that power, unfortunately. And I went to a training a few weeks ago in Millbury, and one of the things they said about the board, about all boards, this was a generic board training for anybody in local government, is you have to stay in your lane. And so that's probably been the thing that I've learned the most, is about learning how to stay in your lane. Even though you'd like to show up and give all your talents and insights, but operationally, we are very limited to oversight and actually don't get involved in operations. So that's been sort of a learning curve And, again, only been, for whatever, 7 months or so. So there's still a lot to learn on how the state actually operates and the feds, and what they're expecting from the executive director.
Gotcha. All right, fair enough. Thank you very much. All right, so this next question. So, given the absence of public comments during meetings, how would you encourage greater participation and engagement from residents and stakeholders in the Housing Authority? I'll go with you first, Steve.
We do have public comments both at the beginning and the end of every meeting. That was one of the first things. I think it was pretty much there anyway, but since I became chair, we basically, the first thing after the pledge is public comments, and the last thing before we adjourn is public comments.
Wayne, how about you?
Like Steve said, there is public comment from the beginning and to the end. And when I became chairman, we had got it changed to the beginning and the end, so the public could have time to speak in the beginning, and then if something coming up during the meeting where we can't just let the people talk, they can wait until the end, and then they can get up and say what they want on that certain issue. And as far as that goes, but if there wasn't any, then I would go on TV, as our committee does, and let people know that they can come to the meeting and talk to the office and tell them that they need something brought up on the agenda, and they can get it done and put on the agenda for the next meeting. And that's the way I would do it.
Fair enough. All right. All right, so a couple questions here, kind of merge them into the same. So, in both of your opinions, with the Housing Authority, what role does the board play in ensuring the voices of the public housing residents are both heard and respected by the staff of the Housing Authority? And though not many residents in the town may know little about the Housing Authority and its operation, what issues facing the board of directors do you both consider to be most pressing? I'm going to start with you, Steve.
Okay. I would start off by saying that the voices of the residents, there's a chain of command, essentially, of how they would bring complaints and how they would go to the executive director, and they would go to the board, and then there's an appeal process and all of that kind of thing. But one of the things that I think people, which I didn't appreciate when I started, was that to a certain degree, a lot of the complaints are between residents, which the executive director does the best she can to resolve those complaints. But there are she also has to stay in her lane, and so there's certain things that she cannot do, whether or not she would like to, and whether or not certain residents would like to see it as a solution. She doesn't always have the authority to do what might seem the most easy and logical thing to do. So everybody is sort of stuck in this division of labor, which on the one hand protects us, but sometimes it also frustrates us. And I guess in terms of your second part of the question, I guess there's not really so much a pressing issue as a continuing situation of things are going to arise, and we're going to have to deal with them as they come up. And long term, I think at some point, the executive director is going to retire, and I would like to be on the board to hire the replacement. But other than that, that's probably the biggest pressing thing that's far off on the agenda.
Okay, sounds good. And Wayne, how about you?
I would, as far as the director, could you read that again?
Oh, of course. So I'll read both of them to you. So in your opinion, sir, what role does the Housing Authority Board play in ensuring the voices of the public housing residents are both heard and respected by the staff of the Housing Authority? And given that some of the residents in the town might not know much about the Housing Authority and its operation, what issues facing the Board of Directors do you consider to be most pressing?
I think that the biggest thing with me is to follow all the rules and don't break them. We get policies, which I disagree, but we have a book of policies that the board has is like this thick that we have to go by besides what the state and federal is. We got our own policies. And you're gonna make sure you follow them, and when you're dealing with the people, you try to send them straight to the director's office and let her take care of the complaint, and that can be forwarded to whoever or whatever that it needs to go to. And if it doesn't get taken care of then they can bring it up to the board, and then the board can correct the director and kind of go in the right direction. Because sometimes in housing, another thing with housing you have a big problem with is that when you get people in there that disrupt everybody, the older, the younger, they just cause troubles all the way around. And they want to blame everything on everybody else. That's another thing. And then you have the issue of going to court, and when you get there, the judges side with them because they're in housing, and they were placed in housing because they had nowhere else to go. So you're stuck there again in a hot spot until you go back to court 3 or 4 times and then finally get the judge to do what's right. I mean, granted, I'll give anybody housing that needs it, but somebody that gets into housing and disrupts all the people that are in there in that section of, say, just for the heck of it, Packagug. If you had somebody in there that's really outrageous and needs to go, and you have to do all this process, it's a hard thing to do. And the director has a hard time with that, and hopefully someday we'll get that straightened out. But I would say that's about it on me for that.
Fair enough. All right. We're getting pretty much down to the last couple of questions. So, given that that was asked for the both of you, is there a question that you wish that I had asked you that would have had an opportunity to answer or see a fellow candidate have to answer? Is there anything that you think would be important for this debate, for your upcoming election? And then with some of your closing statements, what would your message to the voters be? And we'll pretty much wrap this up. And I'll start with you, Mr. Page.
Okay,
Right.
you want the question first and then the closing statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I really have anything to say about Steve. I think he's a good person. And, I mean, that's about it. You know, we're both running for the same position. And that's basically it. I'm not here to drown him or anything. He's a good guy, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. And Steve, same questions to you.
Thank you. I don't have any suggestions on other questions. I thought this set was pretty good.
Awesome.
My message to the voters, of course, is please vote for me on May 12th. Is it 12th? Is it 12th? 21st. I knew something was backwards. The 11th is something else. But anyway, you know, I've enjoyed my tenure here. I've learned a lot. I'd like to continue to contribute as best I can and learn as much as I can. And everybody should vote because this is a democracy and it's important. Oh, and I have a website, auburndems.org, and you could read a little bit more about me and some of the candidates, as well as my general view of politics and the nation. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it for this evening's debate. Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that, Wayne.
That's fine, no worries.
No. So Wayne, what is your message to the voters, and why should the voters vote for you?
I would say to the voters that I have been helping in government for over 30 years. I've helped up the senior center. I helped on many, 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 the veterans committees. I just am very kind-hearted, and sometimes I agree that I take things a little bit harder than I should, but I think I have grown a lot over the years with that. And I'm just here because I love Auburn. Like I said, I've been here 30 years, and I'm very proud to be able to help out the people at the Housing Authority. And I want to thank everybody, and please vote for me on May 21st. Thank you.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, that pretty much wraps everything up for tonight's debate. Want to encourage everybody to get out there and vote on the 21st. Tomorrow night, please, if anybody is interested, please come tomorrow night. Starts at 4 p.m. here at Town Hall. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing the selectmen, of course, and we're going to be doing the moderators. It should be a good event tomorrow night. I'd like to see a lot of people fill up this room tomorrow. Get out there and vote. You gotta love what you do for the job, okay? Me as an electrician, I love it. If I hated it, I wouldn't be doing it. But for a candidate, you have to love what you do. You have to be passionate for what you do, because that's the only way it's going to work. So we appreciate everybody tonight. Those who are watching at home, thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow night, 4 p.m. Have a good evening. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.